Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today. Welcome to our webinar, Food Safety in the Age of Social Media, presented by Patrick Quade, founder and CEO of DineSafe.org and IWasPoisoned.com, platforms designed to identify food safety issues early on and catch outbreaks in real time. I'm Patricia Capella, the conference manager for Clarion UX Food Shows. We do hope to see you at our upcoming shows, the Western Food Service and Hospitality Expo, August 19th through the 21st in Los Angeles, and the Florida Restaurant and Lodging Show, September 6th through the 8th in Orlando. Also, if you weren't aware already, we are happy to announce the launch of the Healthy Food Expo, which will serve the healthy food component of the restaurant and food service marketplace. We do invite you to visit thefoodshows.com for more information on all of our upcoming events. A few housekeeping notes before Patrick begins this presentation. All audience members are on listen-only mode, which means you are muted. We will be monitoring audience engagement on the dashboard and encourage you to participate by using the question pane. There will be time for question and answers at the end of the session. This webinar, as well as others in our series, will be made available on our website in the coming week. Now, let me turn the program over to Patrick. Patrick?
Thank you so much, Patricia, for having me and Amy. Hello, everyone. My name is Patrick Quade, and I am here today to talk about food safety in the age of social media, and also going to talk about my websites, DineSafe.org and IWasPoisoned.com, and how they're bringing the two together and having a positive impact on food safety. To start off, I'd like to show some images to set the backdrop of what we're going to talk about today. I'd like everyone to take a look at this photo, incredible photo. It's from Woodstock, 1969. And I want to point out the catchphrase from that time. If you remember it, you weren't there. If you remember it, you weren't there. So now I want to fast forward over 40 years. A modern day concert, maybe there's some believers on the line, Justin Bieber. Now, I'd like you to notice the major difference between this photo and Woodstock. Almost every single person in this photo has their cell phone out. They're taking pictures, they're posting them online, they're putting them on their Facebook, their Instagram, their Snapchat. The catchphrase today, if it's not on Facebook, it didn't happen. One last thing on this photo that I want to draw attention to is the girl in the bottom right of the screen with her back turned to the stage. It didn't occur to me, actually I didn't notice it at first, and then I noticed her, and then it occurred to me, what was she doing with her back turned? And it's almost certain that she was taking a selfie. So if this is true, what does the future look like? Is it possible that everyone will have their backs to the stage trying to get themselves in the picture? Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the future. This happened. This photo was taken during Hillary Clinton's 2017 election campaign. Food porn. I'm sure many of you know what this is. For those who do not, I'm talking about the hashtag food porn on Instagram. For those of you who still don't know what I'm talking about, it's this. People at restaurants taking pictures of their food before they eat and posting them online. I'm sure many of you have seen this happening, even if you did not know what it was called. There are over 165 million posts on Instagram with the hashtag food porn. Food porn is one of the top 50 ranked hashtags on Instagram, above LOL. What if I told you you can eat your food without posting it on Facebook? Good question. Food porn on the A&E network. It's a television show that I think is entering season 2 that will shine a light on the popularity of food photography on social media. So let's look more closely at what has happened. Smartphone adoption. This chart's between 2010 with a projection through to 2022. Incredible growth. We all know it. We all have one. It's predicted to be 80% by 2022, but realistically probably be higher. Number of active Twitter users starting back in 2010. Incredible growth. And where's usage today? Facebook now has 2 billion monthly users, YouTube 1.5 billion, Instagram 700 million, Twitter 308 million, huge numbers. The percentage of US population with a social media profile from 2008 to 2017. 2017, 81% of US citizens had a social media profile. Enormous. Forgot to post on Facebook. I was going to the gym. Now this whole workout was a waste of time. I agree. The world changed, and we all know it changed. And this talk is about how this change in technology and change in social behavior intersects with food safety. What does it mean for food safety? The huge shift in technology, growth in smartphones, the advent of social media, and the social behavior of people wanting to share more. Throw food safety into the mix. What does it equal? It equals this. Dornell, flying to KFC Canada. If you want to be served raw chicken, order here. Meredith Shaw ordered a burger with no bun. I got a raw burger. This location needs a cooking lesson. This is not okay. April, Guthrie, Wendy's don't appreciate getting a raw chicken sandwich. Not safe for anyone, especially not my pregnant sister-in-law that took a big bite out of it. People want to share online. They want to share their good news and their bad news, and they want to talk about food safety. How has this rise in the use of social media been adopted so far? It has not gone unnoticed, with many studies, including Harvard Medical School and many health agencies adopting a practice of trying to integrate Twitter and Yelp data into their surveillance, including NYC Health, City of Chicago, and Nevada, which leads us to the next part of our discussion, which is a new resource that uses the benefit and familiarity of social media, but it's custom designed for food safety. But before we go any further, my background, as some of you may know, I have built a career in finance on Wall Street, but my roots are much more modest than that. I grew up in a small farming community in Central Australia. My dad's a sheep farmer, and I grew up working on that farm as a kid, helping dad run it. Small business matters to me. It's where I came from, and it's why, as you will see from this talk, we place great importance on how we carefully manage this site and its data. One last thing, why does foodborne illness matter? Every year in the US, according to the CDC, 48 million sick, 128,000 hospitalized, and 3,000 dead, with children most at risk. It's a big deal, and underreporting has been a really huge problem. So how did I get started in this? My food safety story started 10 years ago, right here, Tribeca, downtown Manhattan, New York City, my hometown. I bought a BLT wrap from a corner deli. Looking back, it was not the most hygienic looking deli in the world, but I'd eaten there before with no problems, so food safety never crossed my mind. About 6 hours later, this is a scene from a movie called Bridesmaids, and in this scene, the lady sitting on the sink is screaming out, "It's coming out of me like lava." I could relate to that. I could relate to the lady hunched over the toilet. Well, it was absolutely brutal. And somewhere in the midst of all that, so I decided as soon as I could get up off the bathroom floor, I was going to do something. So about 24 hours later, I called the deli to try and explain what happened. Wasn't asked goodbye. at that point it hit me, there was no way to determine if they were right. And I thought if only there was some way to easily see if others were also sickened after eating there, that would be useful information, not just for the deli owner, but for the public as well. So I decided to build a website to do that. And iwaspoisoned.com was born. iwaspoisoned.com, what is it? It's an open access, easily accessible consumer website. It allows consumers to go online and file a foodborne illness complaint, allows them to search and view other reports. It identifies potential outbreaks in real time, and it gives public health and industry immediate feedback. And by bringing together consumers, public health, and industry, it's having a positive impact. So how does it work? It starts like any other foodborne illness complaint with a consumer who believes they have food poisoning. They go to iwaspoisoned.com, file a report. Moderators review the report with the goal of eliminating inauthentic and malicious reports. And the results of this process have turned into location-based notifications, alerts, and data analytics. That's it. There's no scraping of Twitter or pulling data from other sources. This is pure crowdsourcing. Simply asking consumers, regular people, to tell their story. Who's using the services? We've had over 2.5 million page views, 35,000 consumers. It's actually growing. It's daily, but currently around 35,000 are subscribed to our daily alert service. And we currently get over 150,000 page views per month. We receive reports from all over the world. The public health adoption and environmental health agency adoption is also global. We currently deliver our daily surveillance reports into health agencies in 6 countries: the US, Canada, UK, Germany, Singapore, and Australia. And within the US, we have 46, it's actually up to 46 participating states now, with over 350 state and local, county, city subscriptions. And widespread industry adoption: restaurant chains, the entertainment sector, grocery chains, consulting firms, industry associations, with currently monitoring over 100,000 locations. I'd like to take a moment to focus on our health agency relationships. What does it mean when we say we're delivering surveillance services to health agencies? So there are 2 parts to that. There's an online dashboard, and there's also our most popular service, which is a daily email, which looks a lot like you see here. Its subscribers receive this email daily around 10 a.m. Eastern. It shows all the valid reports received for that state or county from the prior day. Each report has a link which takes a user through to the details of the report. An example shown here: it has the address of the establishment, the details of the report, the receipt where provided, most importantly, the complainant contact information to allow health agencies to do follow-up and investigation. So important to a lot of people on the line is how have these health agencies have subscribed, integrated this service into their processes. So it depends. It varies from organization to organization, but in many cases it's formal. For example, the subscribing county will log the report into their complaint system and send it to the appropriate inspector. The inspector will contact the individual for additional information. It will then be investigated from there. In some cases, inspectors use our data to direct all their ad hoc inspections, and will visit every reported location. For anyone in public health on the call, how do you get signed up? You can do it right from our website on the menu on the mobile phone, or on desktop. It's at the bottom. Click sign up for alerts. And for public health agencies, this service is free. It'll provide daily alerts for your coverage area. And we welcome you joining. The impact so far. So there are 3 types of outcomes and impacts that I'd like to describe. The first type are the publicly known outbreaks that go on to be news stories. So some examples are shown here. Chipotle, Simi Valley, 2015. This was the first of many incidents Chipotle were to have, and we were the first to identify this. It was later confirmed by county health as norovirus, with 98 customers and 17 employees sickened. Applebee's, Corona, we received reports of 20 sickened. The county health department was looped in, went on to investigate and confirmed a norovirus outbreak. The Melting Pot, Tacoma, Washington, we actually received reports of 12 people sick in that case. Tacoma Pierce County were looped in, and they investigated, found an issue, and ordered a 24-hour shutdown and clean out of the restaurant. In total, over 42 were reported as sickened. A more recent example, Chipotle, Sterling, Virginia. We were the first to detect this outbreak, and in total, we received reports citing over 150 sickened, and the county confirmed a similar number. The company later indicated the incident was norovirus related. The second type of impact we have is we're providing an assist to health agencies, but an outbreak's discovered, but it stays out of the news and out of the public eye. So this could be a case where a report from our servers is triangulated with a report that the agency receives directly with a subsequent follow-up revealing an outbreak. Also, where a single report from our service but citing multiple people sick triggers a follow-up, which turns out to be an outbreak. So these, there are many more examples, but these are just a couple of real-world examples given to us from the health agencies. The final impact I'd like to share, which is something we think can be of huge benefit to restaurateurs and businesses and industry, is the predictive power of the website, which we think is really cool. And it relates to an early aspiration I had when I first started the site. That being, could it predict if an issue was more likely to occur for a particular brand or chain? And the answer is yes, it can. I'm going to give again, use Chipotle as an example, just because it's already been in the public sphere and it's sort of it's public knowledge. So we noticed in 2014 a really high rate of reporting for Chipotle. So to put it in context, these dots are to scale. Chipotle's 1,900 stores were consistently generating more reports than the next two biggest brands that have over 20,000 stores. So this was not what we expected, especially with Chipotle's reputation at that time for quality. So we came up with a metric called the rate of reporting, which takes a total number of reports for a brand divided by the number of stores, allowing us to better compare one company to another. On this basis, they had a rate of reporting that was 10 times higher than the next two closest brands, not 10%, but 10 times, enormous. So this was a huge red flag to us. And unsurprisingly to us, the brand went on to have multiple outbreaks, loss of customers, and a significant hit to their share price, losing over $10 billion in market capital. Now, before anyone suggests this is not a fair comparison, Chipotle was in the news, so anytime someone got sick, they attributed it to Chipotle. The data I'm showing here was before the first outbreak, 2014 up to July 2015, right before the August outbreak. So there is no selection bias in this data. So what does that mean? It means that this data provided a warning signal over 12 months in advance of the problems that would have come. And we think this is huge. Foodborne illness outbreaks can be devastating for companies, and this data offers a new approach to help brands monitor where they sit versus their peers and get early indications if their operations are running in the safe zone or if they have more work to do. Next, I'd like to give an example of the timeline of a large outbreak as it relates to social media and how social media weaves its way into the story. We hope and that that this never happens to any of you, and we offer services to help that it doesn't, but we want to show you what it looks like so you can understand how social media weaves into these stories. So Going back to the August 2015 outbreak, just because again it's public knowledge, and there's nothing new in here that isn't already available in the public sphere. But I'm going to tell the story with the social media aspect looped into it. So Friday, August 21st, 2015. We received our first consumer reports on iwaspoisoned.com as 3 reports citing a total of 11 people sick after consuming food at the Chipotle restaurant in Simi Valley, California. Me and my friend both ate Chipotle together and got really sick the next day. Another one ordered 2 burrito bowls, 1 veggie, 1 chicken, 2 customers, all the same symptoms at the same time. Got very sick, 6 friends, confirmed, same meal. On that same day, Chipotle actually did a voluntary closure, actually that afternoon on Friday 21st, and put a sign in the door citing lack of staffing. So next day, August 22nd, 6 new reports on iwaspoisoned.com submitted mentioning 23 sick individuals. So now we're up to 34 reports on iwaspoisoned.com. Later that same day, Chipotle did a voluntary reopening. That night, CBS Los Angeles ran the story, Chipotle customers sickened. The story cited iwaspoisoned.com reports, plus they did their own investigative journalism and went to the local ER and got a quote from the local ER, 19 in ER, after having eaten at that Chipotle. They researched Twitter. They also found a sick person, I think from the ER, and interviewed them. So a key point here is that news agencies will make their own mind up based on evidence that they see in their own investigative journalism. At this point, there was no comment from county health. They actually went and asked for a comment, but they did not hear back from them. So an important point here, which I'll come back to, is that news agencies make their mind up and they will rely on social media to form a story. So now we're on Sunday, August 23rd. 37 reports submitted on this day, mentioning multiple sick, all implicating that same restaurant. So we're now at over 70 plus reported on iwaspoisoned.com. Okay, so Monday, August 25th, the Ventura County conducts an inspection. So violations for failures in pest control, sanitation, employees without valid food handler cards, restroom issues, tiles missing, gaps around a self-serve fountain, mildew on a defector panel, inside the ice machine, grease and food debris in the lower compartment of the deep fryer were their findings. So Tuesday, August 25th, LA Times runs a story. This is with the first official quote from Ventura County saying that Chipotle was under investigation. So in the meantime, there was a follow-up inspection by Ventura County, and Chipotle had corrected 6 of the 7 items. There was still food held at unapproved temperatures that was an issue, and a couple of other issues. And they also, management said that they were going to implement a more stringent hand washing policy. That was noted on the report. So Friday, September 4th, 2 weeks after the first report, Ventura County confirmed a norovirus outbreak linked to that Chipotle. The impact of sustained foodborne illness issues, share price tumbling, revenue dropping, customer loss, expensive PR campaigns, sickness lawsuits, shareholder lawsuits, legal fees, lost investor confidence. From the top of their market valuation to the bottom after their series of foodborne illness outbreaks, $10 billion in market cap was wiped off Chipotle. Enormous financial impact. So that shows how social media weaves into a story in an outbreak scenario. Now, I want to talk about challenges of crowdsourcing. And for running a website like the website we run. So a key challenge for us is making sure that health agencies and industry and consumers are aware of what we're doing and understand it, and also have the opportunity to get involved. We want people to understand the value in reporting, and industry and public health to find value in using the data. Another challenge for the site is that crowdsourcing is imperfect. And here's one solution to that. This is a scene taken from a movie called Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. In this movie, Jay and Silent Bob made a film, and they made a lot of money on the film, but they also got some really bad reviews. So with all of their newfound money, they decided they would fly around the country, find everyone who gave them a bad review, and punch them in the face. So in this scene, that kid's about to get walloped. We do not recommend that approach. Crowdsourcing is here to stay, self-reporting is here to stay, and transparency is here to stay. And we think that's a good thing because despite its imperfections, crowdsourcing can achieve a lot, as seen from the previous slides, and many other real-world examples. Wikipedia, TripAdvisor, Yelp, Waze, GasBuddy, Amazon Reviews, IMDb. Websites that are part of our everyday life that inform where we travel, where we eat, what we buy, where we get our gas. So in this aspect, the challenge for us is striking the right balance in how we handle our data, and getting this right is one of our highest priorities. So some of the things we do to manage our data responsibly, as mentioned earlier, moderating. We moderate reports, which is a huge differentiator versus other social media. Every report gets a human review and a technical back-end review to weed out malicious and inauthentic reports. We do not publicize rankings or ratings. And we keep only current data on the website, rolling data off the website after 30 days. And we think this last one is especially significant and another differentiator versus other platforms. These reports are not a permanent record. A little bit more on our moderating process. So every report gets both a human review and a technical back-end review. We use geolocation tools. We look at IP address, IP location, timestamps, addresses, phone numbers, and we have some deep dive tools for further validation if we're concerned about the authenticity of a report. Our promise is that every report, to the best degree possible, represents a real person who believes they have foodborne illness. Observations. We collect a lot of data on this site. I'm now going to give a preview of one of the key findings that we have, or I'm going to show you one of the key findings that we have, which is the age breakdown of people who report on the site. It's not surprising, but the younger generation is much more likely to be reporting. A key point here is that the 55 plus age bracket make up 25% of the US population, only 7% of the people reporting on our site. This, I think, is a photo that I think it explains that, or kind of gets to that point really, really well, that illustrates it. It's taken from a street event in Boston recently, and you can see everyone in the photo has their phone out, they're taking photos, they're putting it on their Facebook, their Instagram. Everyone except front and center Granny, which I absolutely love. She's the only one just enjoying the moment, which is fantastic. But what I also like in this photo is the slightly older gentleman standing next to her. He's pretty sure he has a camera on his phone, and he's trying like heck to find it, but he didn't get to enjoy the moment, and he didn't get a photo. He didn't get either. So I think that's kind of funny, and it also tells that arc of what's happening here. And the truth is, younger generations are much more socially inclined online. They're online much more, and they're much more likely to share experiences online. And our site proves that out. Over 70% of people reporting are under the age of 34. The bottom line is this is happening. There's no ignoring it. The only realistic choice, we think, is to get involved and use it to our advantage. And the main message for today is do not ignore social media. In today's day and age, it's too important a force to ignore. Consumers look at it, news media look at it, it drives news and it drives perception. You do not want your organization to be last to know or caught flat-footed on something. We're not saying you have to like it, and we're not saying it's right every time. We're just saying it's too important to ignore it. And we think our site's an excellent way to be engaged. It's a site that news media and consumers increasingly turn to, and we want to partner with industry. So what do we offer to industry to help? So there are 4 services that we offer. There are daily reports. So each store location can receive a customized daily alert for alert reports specific to their store, or management can get an email with reports across the whole brand. That's for larger companies. Intraday alerts. Each of the stores or within a company will be covered by our intraday surveillance service, where we see a cluster of reports relating to a single store location. We'll notify the company right away. Benchmarking and analytics are probably more applicable to bigger companies, but benchmarking, comparison of the rate of reporting versus peers, identifying trends and hotspots within the company, whether it's at the regional or franchisee holder level. Customer care. This is something that relates to everyone, especially the ability to communicate with complainants via our secure ticketing systems for customer recovery and education and learning purposes. We also have email and homepage branding. So we think messaging is probably one of our key services for industry and communication. There are a lot of statistics and research available, but here are some key findings. 68% attribute their good customer service experience to quick resolution of their problem. 33% of consumers, a bad review is more likely to be upgraded or removed with a quick personalized response. So when thinking about communicating with complainants, the impacts that can be considered are the customer lifetime value. So the customer lifetime value is a prediction of the net profit attributed to the entire future relationship with a customer. Winning customers back matters. Also, the social cost of losing a customer. A customer who has a bad experience will tell an average of 16 people about these experiences. So that it potentially impacts 17 people who may choose not to visit. And social media can amplify this much further. And finally, the monetary cost of losing customers. With the multiplier effect of friends and social media, the financial impact of a perceived bad experience can be significant. If it becomes a viral and a perceived ongoing problem, the financial impact can be devastating. And just to point out the difference between someone who thinks they got foodborne illness at your restaurant and someone who actually got foodborne illness at your restaurant, the difference is there's no difference. Neither of those are coming, are coming back. So the benefits of our platform allows for immediate same-day response. And as we saw earlier, 68% of consumers attribute good customer service experience to quick resolution of their problem. Customer recovery, the cost of losing a customer is high, so it's really a high priority. The ability to learn, there's potential the customer may have important information that they can pass along, especially in the cases where there is actually an issue. Customer education, so explaining onset times, helping consumers learn more about foodborne illness to help the customer realize their complaint may not relate to your business. Finally, report removal. If the complainant does not reply or does not reply sufficiently, we typically take the report down. Our platform requires participation from both sides. We don't want complainants who are willing to make a report, but then unwilling to participate when a business tries to help. So for larger industry participants on the line with a larger store count, we have an enterprise service that delivers a wide range of features, including all of those mentioned in the deck so far, plus notifications, reporting, an API for custom feeds, custom dashboards, and integrations with existing systems. We're currently accepting signups. We welcome anyone to go to either email, go to dinesafe.org and sign up, or email patrick@dinesafe.org or patrick@iwaspoisoned.com. So what that looks like is the real-time outbreak monitoring and email alert services. So this is as reports start to accumulate for a potential outbreak, and immediate messaging. Also options for daily, weekly, monthly, summary emails, and custom threshold alerts. Benchmarking, we alluded to that earlier. Where does the rate of reporting for your brand or product rank versus peers? Trend analysis, is your rank improving over time or worsening over time? Map views, the ability to look at to the geolocation of where reports are coming in for your store and view the reports from a map perspective. Report count by store or by product. Do you have a store that shows up more or a store that performs particularly well? What are they doing differently? And sorting and ranking. Data tables, the ability to search, sort, export, and manipulate the data. Branded confirmation emails. So we have emails that go out to complainants, and we offer the ability for companies to get their own messaging onto those emails. Explain your process and your focus on food safety, and promote like a direct communication or a link if you would like them to report it directly. Company pages. Many big brands, we have landing pages that come through from search engines. So you can, if you search food poisoning and a particular brand, it'll take you through to their landing page. We actually offer the ability to brand that to show the messaging, for your company, the things that you do and your processes with food safety, and also encourage the complainant to complain directly if you're interested in doing that. So just back to the final message and main message of the talk. Like we said before, you don't have to like it. It's not right every time, but don't ignore it. There's too much at stake, and news media are relying on it heavily. And we want to partner with you, and we welcome hearing from you. And that concludes the talk. And I think we're going to now open it up for Q&A.
Yes, thanks, Patrick. That was very informative. I really appreciate all of you sharing your expertise with our audience. We do have a few questions. The first one I have here is, of your complaints, do you know how many visit a doctor and what the outcomes are?
Yeah, so it's pretty low. It's less than 10% actually going to see a doctor. And it's funny enough, even in, I've attended a lot of environmental health talks and public health talks where I give this talk at, and even if you ask a room full of 300 health professionals, how many people have had food poisoning before, everyone will stick their hand up because everyone's typically had at least once. And then how many reported it? It'll be one or two. It's just it's something that people suffer because it comes and goes so fast that they just suffer it, they hydrate, they get through it, and they typically don't go to a doctor. So we see it, people report less than 10%. Of those who go to a doctor, what's interesting is only around half get a diagnosis, meaning like a real diagnosis. So 50% just get, either treated for the symptoms and sent home, or they get a very generic diagnosis like gastro or a stomach bug, or just generically food poisoning, which is not a real diagnosis, that involves a test and figuring out what it is. So that's a typical outcome that we see with people who report with us.
Thank you for that. And I actually have two more questions. When people do report, what is their most common sentiment and what do they mostly want to get out of reporting?
It's typically caring for others. We very, it's helping others, making sure that, hopefully it has an impact, either lets the restaurant know or others know that to be aware. It's really, I think some people think that, like this, people want to sue or they want to get something. It's really, really rare that we see that. I think like 2 ever have said that they want to sue. People mostly, and a lot of people are actually like, oh, actually I love this restaurant. I'm so disappointed. I'll be back, but I'm going to give it a rest for a while. So people are really kind of sensitive to, to businesses, and they're sensitive to, the impact of reporting, but they feel real concern after what they've gone through. So it's our opinion that, like, many of these people, or the vast majority of them, can be won back over. And in fact, when we have had, for those companies that do reach out and share the outcomes, people are typically thrilled to hear a company come back to them and, listen to their story and, and care about what they've had to say and look into it. It's really amazing how quickly consumers can be won back, even with something as complicated as foodborne illness, and especially when you throw some education in there to kind of, let people know, because a lot of people don't realize that it's not always the last thing you ate. People are very are a lot more thoughtful in reporting. They'll kind of figure out, well, this was the only thing I didn't eat. They're not just reporting their last thing they ate, but some do, and that education can kind of help bridge the gap.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. And then the third question I had here is, how does one get involved? How do they start getting alerts for their business?
So for restaurants, you can either email directly to Patrick at iwaspoisoned.com, start up a conversation, and we can figure out the right solution for you and get you set up. You can also sign up directly on dinesafe.org. And yeah, we welcome hearing from people. We've partnered with many restaurants. We have over half the top 50 restaurant chains involved in our service right now, and we're reaching out to even the smallest, even someone with one store. We've made our services really affordable so everyone can get involved. So even if you just have one store or 2 stores, love to hear from you and partner and become your ally in food safety. Work together to help get better outcomes and do what we can to help.
Okay, and Patrick, actually, we just had another question come through. They said, we have a drive-through business and don't have any control over what the food can be exposed to before the time the customer eats the food. Once it leaves the restaurants, how should they handle any complaints in regards to takeout drive-through food?
Our experience is, there are a lot of ways that you can, and different theories on how to, how to handle a complaint. But the key theme is responding quickly and listening and being open. Now, there's this, it's absolutely true that in a case like that where it's drive-through, there are other factors. But as I mentioned earlier, responding, listening, being open-minded and not being antagonistic, you can absolutely win those, you can win those customers back, and also introduce that education aspect that, to let them know that it may not have been related to the store, or something could have happened on the way home.
Sorry, I seem we have a little noise in the background. I hope everything's okay. If we still have time, Patrick, we do have 2 more questions, actually. They're coming in. Do we have time for 2 more?
Yeah, on my part, yes.
Okay. Perfect. Sorry about that. The next question is there more ethical American food service complaints?
Are there more ethical
American food service complaints? Oh, sorry, ethnic. My apologies.
We haven't done that study yet. That's a really good question.
The ethnic versus American food service?
Yeah, we haven't done that. So it's certainly not, it doesn't jump off the page. It's more, the types of things that we see are more along the lines of restaurant chains, that have like a really, I use that example of Chipotle, and not to pick on Chipotle at all. Like, we have no acts against, we wish every single restaurant chain the best. But that's public knowledge that they had a lot higher rate of reporting. What we see more is like a certain chain that has a really elevated rate of reporting versus their peers. And when you look at companies, it's a great question, because a lot of people think, well, it's all about the same. It's really not the same. Some chains are real outliers versus their peers, on the good side and on the bad side. We have restaurant chains that have 600-700 stores. We never hear from a single customer, and then we have restaurant chains with 200 stores that are off the charts. So you can kind of see something really different is happening in the way that and those statistics don't tie into an ethnic that's not the theme. It's It's not the theme at all. But I think it's a good question, and but just because it hasn't popped out as something that's really jumped out at us, we haven't done a study on that. But I'm actually going to add that to the list and try and see if we can look at that for the next talk.
Okay. The next question we have here is, what's the best way for a restaurant to respond to the complaining participant after their call?
So, I mean, so there are there are a bunch of different ways to do it. There are different trains of thought. I wouldn't want to prescribe except to say that do it. And I think there's and do it sooner and be open-minded. And I think, like I say, what we've seen is people are so happy to have someone listen to their story, to have to open a discussion. I think there's some theories that say listen, accept what you're hearing, investigate, and basically commence demonstrating that you care, which every single restaurateur cares. It's front and center. There's no question about that. And once the consumer feels, mostly they just want to know that they matter, and that and someone cares about what happened to them. And like I say, we've seen the response. It's incredible. I mean, I think they win back customers for life after you can really show that like this is front and center for you guys. And a lot of them are really inclined to come back anyway. You know, it's like, this is our favorite restaurant, we're going to come back, but you know, we just want to, you know, we're concerned basically. So, but there are, you know, there's a lot of material out there on how, you know, actually like what do you write, you know, or how do you actually commence the messaging. But the main point is do it soon, be open-minded, you know, with an open ear, and show you care, and that's going to get you a long way.
Thank you. This is very interesting stuff. We have a couple more questions coming in, and I know we have some more time. So the next question we have, sometimes customers don't fully understand the elements of food safety and make claims that this certain food was raw when in fact it wasn't. For example, they use a pre-cooked product in our store. What is the best way to respond to either uneducated or false claims?
So what we do on that aspect is our part of our commitment to industry is we're rolling the data off the site after 30 days. We're opening up a channel for you to have to communicate with the complainant, and if they don't respond well or don't respond, the report comes down. Aside from that aspect of it, I think it's something you get good at. I think you do it, you respond, with an open mind, and you start the dialogue, and you can win a lot of people back, especially if you can get them on the phone, or talk to them, and you can simply by showing that you care. So it's not easy. Not every customer is reasonable. We're not saying it's going to work every single time, but there's too much at stake to just ignore it. Especially in this age of influencers, where you don't know which customer has 1 million followers. They might seem, you don't know what their Twitter handle is, or whatever it is. For the sake of an email and a phone call and doing your best, you got to do that. There's just too much at stake to not try.
Absolutely. And then our final question is, this person has a franchise and they're wondering if they can sign up without headquarters.
Yeah, absolutely. We can carve out franchises and make sure that you get reports related to just the stores that you care about. So yeah, love to hear from you, and we'd love to partner with you all. It's such an important topic, and we can collectively we can get better outcomes for industry here, and help differentiate you versus your peers. So yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
Awesome. Well, Patrick, again, thank you so much. This was so much information, such great information for everyone to have. We really appreciate your time and your expertise with the audience. Again, I just wanted to let everyone know, if you want to contact Patrick, he's at patrick@iwaspoisoned.com. And again, thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Patricia and Amy. Fantastic to be here, and thanks everyone for staying on the line and listening to me yap on. I really appreciate it.
And again, this will be housed on our website. So in case anyone wants to listen in again for any of the information that was provided, we will have that up in a week. So again, Patrick, thank you so much, and we hope to work with you again in the future.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.